Welcome everyone. In today's tutorial, we're looking at leadership and management, specifically at the key differences between those two concepts. So understanding those two is very important, not only for your qualification, but also for your growth as a professional leader. So why leadership and management are important? So for you as a learner, apprentice of the level 5 qualification, this is a big part of your qualification, learning about leadership and management, and then that knowledge is going to be put into task during your final exam endpoint assessment. But generally, why it is so important to you, not only for that tick box, you could say, exercise of passing the final exam, but it's all about developing your knowledge, your skills and competencies for you to become a better manager, better leader. It helps you to improve your day-to-day practice as well as the team performance. It encourages the reflection on your role, helps you to find new ways of working, new approaches to team management, and generally how you approach your day-to-day tasks. So that's very important for your role. So developing your knowledge on leadership. So much of what you learn, you will find that you already know from your experience. So you might be doing those things, but what learning about leadership and management gives you is that ability to link that theory now to the practice and using that more specific language. So you're gonna learn about various models, and as you learn about management and leadership, you start to recognize your own leadership style and the theories you've been applying, but without kind of knowing those specific names. You'll now be able to give them names and learn how to use them more intentionally, because you're going to know specific aspects and you will be able to take from that specific theory or from few of them and adapt them to the specific situations you are dealing with. So through that, it helps you to become more effective and purposeful in your actions. Sorry. So it's important to understand that while terms leadership and management are often used interchangeably, they are not the same. So let's explore each of them. So let's look at what is management. So management, you could look at, everything that you do in your day-to-day practice. So it involves a lot of organizing, organizing different processes, workflows, operations, and you do that to meet the organizational or business objectives. But also to support the organization's mission and vision by more in that structure, process-like way. It also includes supervising employees and ensuring work is completed efficiently. So you're supervising your employees, making sure that they work to the required standard. The aim of the management is also to create environment that allows employees to work efficiently and achieve business goals. So you kind of are concerned with making sure that all your employees got everything they need to be able to successfully perform or perform to the required standard. Management is also about making sure the work gets done. So that's the important. So everything that you do, so all those processes, everything that stands behind that work getting done. So it's very much process focused. Managers organize, they plan, you control as a manager, you control the activities that keep the service running. So it's very important role. You could say that kind of like skeleton of the organizational success. The key management function. So we've got here planning, organizing, monitoring, controlling, leading, and staffing. So anything to do with staff management. So think of management as a structured, methodical approach that's about creating stability and efficiency. So going back to create that environment, right environment for the success of the organization. So in terms of a planning, that's all about choosing appropriate goals and actions to pursue those goals, and deciding what strategies we're gonna be using, deciding on actions, but also identifying what resources we're gonna need to achieve those objectives. So a lot of like kind of operational planning. Organizing. So here we're going to be establishing relationships between workers, so between ourselves and staff, and between the staff themselves to ensure effective collaboration. And again, that's all in order to achieve organizational goals. Monitoring. So you're going to be doing lots and lots of different monitoring tasks, from auditing to checking compliance, carrying out different supervision tasks. Controlling, so that's evaluating and improving performance. So you evaluate how well goals are being met. You look at how we can improve performance. You apply corrective action. So that's going to involve things like setting standards, measuring performance, comparing results, looking at KPIs, monitoring them as well, and making informed decisions. Leading, so that's to be an effective manager. That leadership kind of comes here as well. So you're going to be motivating and guiding staff, but more in that process like way rather than inspiring. And then the staffing. So lots of kind of those day-to-day tasks that you do involve staff. So it could be recruitment, selecting the right employees. But once you've employed your staff, then there's lots of kind of those day-to-day management of your team. So that's kind of going to be under that staffing function. So what does being a manager mean? So it might be good for you to stop now and make a note of all of those things that you do in your everyday practice that kind of would specify those different managerial tasks. Once you do, you can hit play again. So what does being manager mean? So management focuses on those day-to-day operations. So all those kind of nitty-gritty tasks, admin tasks, sometimes I kind of maybe see them as boring because they might be very repetitive like. But manager holds a position of authority. You set objectives and measure results. So you kind of not just set them, but kind of put the processes in place that will allow you to monitor the achievement of those objectives and see how successful we are in that process. Focus on process and control, often risk averse. Because as a management kind of is more concerned with those processes, making sure things gonna go to plan, coordinate and supervise. As a manager, you build a team that works well together. So bringing people together, but also making sure that they can work together well. Then you develop that team because you want to have a competent team that you are able to delegate to, and that they don't need much of your time in terms of a supervision. You're going to be supporting staff in reaching their objective because that's going to form part of the developing your team. But also you're going to create processes for smooth and efficient workflows, as well as problem solving. That's going to be a big part of managers' job. So that was the management, kind of very short in a nutshell. So let's have a look at the leadership. So what is leadership? So leadership is about people. So you've got management, processes, leadership, people. Leaders encourage, inspire, and bring others with them towards the shared goal. So leadership is all about showing the vision, getting buy-in from people, inspiring and influencing. And this is kind of how leaders motivate or teams. As the name suggests, leadership is about leading. So that's going to be showing direction, inspiring others, encouraging them to follow, and it's more or less about authority and more about the influence. So like with the management, that authority aspect there comes from that position of manager. Within leadership, is more about the influencing, about the motivation, about showing the vision, that inspiration. As a leader, you inspire action and demonstrate can-do attitude. You're motivating others through example. So leading by example is very important, and it's all about the clarity and purpose. So it's focusing on people, motivation, and growth. So leaders typically influence through trust and respect. So that leadership is very much based on trust and respect. Leaders communicate a clear vision. They encourage innovation and creativity. They are comfortable with risks. So again, here you've got another difference. Management is risk averse. Leadership is more kind of prone to those positive risk taking. It's more about motivating and developing others, but here through mentoring and coaching, not through just setting objectives and kind of monitoring everybody works to the required standard. And leading by example and integrity, is that leaders' power comes from who they are as a person. So to sum up, the leadership is about action and influence, not job titles. Anyone who inspires others and motivates a team can be a leader, regardless of their formal position. So if you kind of reflect on, your kind of work situation of your team, you will be able to see that within your team you've got those natural leaders, people that kind of take others on journey with them, and people kind of tend to listen to them. Those are kind of those natural leaders. So being a leader, what does it mean? Leadership can sometimes feel unrecognized. So that's a very lonely position. That kind of the higher you go in an organization, the lonelier you kind of feel. But it is vital for progress. So leaders drive change, innovation, and team morale. Being a leader can sometimes feel thankless and carries risks. So when things go wrong, the leader is accountable. When things go right, the credit goes to the team. However, leadership moves things forward, so you don't need to hold a managerial position to be a leader, like I mentioned. Anyone who can inspire and influence others can lead. So leadership is about setting direction, building a vision, and adapting as circumstances change. It's dynamic, motivating, and is inspiring. So while leadership encompasses many aspects of management, it looks towards a higher values, purpose, and long-term impact. So let's have a look at those key differences now. So leadership versus management. So two sides of the same coin. So let's have a look. You've got a chart here. So for the management, we've got here, this is very much position-based authority, while the leadership is more about influence-based authority. Management focuses on processes and systems, while leadership focuses on people and vision. Management is concerned with how and when, leadership is concerned with what and why. Ensures stability and control, that's under management, while leadership encourages change and innovation. Management motivates through responsibility, leadership motivates through inspiration. So kind of looking at differences, but you probably can pinpoint like some similarities here already, like with the motivation, is that motivation is a key aspect of each of them. It's just kind of how it is achieved. That's that difference there. So one way, a useful way to look at the difference is also through the authority that I have mentioned earlier. So a leader's authority comes from trust, influence, and fairness. So followers choose to follow because of who the leader is and why they and what they represent. Manager's authority comes from the position, so that formal position from formal role and is assigned by the organization. So in short, leaders gain followers through influence, managers are followed because of the position. So of course there is a significant overlap and many managers are also leaders. That's important to remember. So leadership is about motivation, influence, coaching and mentoring. It focuses on people and is often linked to innovation and vision, the what and why. Management is about planning, organizing, and overseeing processes that lead to achieving goals, the how and when. So, leadership is a vision, management is a process. Leadership aligns people, management organizes work. Leadership is a quality, management is a position. So being manager doesn't automatically make someone a leader, but developing both skill sets creates a strong foundation for effective, confident leadership and successful management. This is kind of what you want to aim for. So let's bring that all together with the use of a Venn diagram. So we're going to compare leadership and management. We're going to look at differences and those similarities. Hopefully, this will help you with your task. So with the leadership, so we've got that here again. Just to sum up: influence, trust, and respect. It focuses on people, vision, and direction. It's more concerned with what and why. Inspires and motivates others to follow, builds vision and encourages innovation, encourages risk taking and creativity, guides through coaching, mentoring, and empowerment, focuses on motivation through that coaching, mentoring, and empowerment, and influencing and engagement, gains buy-in and commitment to others, and leads by examples. I'll lead by examples. Management, so it's kind of more about the authority that comes from position or role, focuses very much on processes, systems, and structures, is concerned with how and when, ensures day-to-day operations are run smoothly, so all those day-to-day nitty-gritty things that need to happen, sets objectives and measures performance, plans, organizes and controls, monitors work. It's risk averse. Motivates through responsibility and supervision, builds processes and focuses on compliance, efficiency, and achievements of business goals. In similarities, we've got some of them. You're gonna find that management and leadership are concerned with the same, but how they get there, it's slightly different. So similarities we've got: organizational goals, communication skills, decision making, accountability, influence others, performance, development, strategic thinking, problem solving, motivate and support teams. So that's all for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed that and that you will find it helpful.